Hello and welcome back to the Helmet Head podcast. Now here in the UK in 2023, they reckon that there's going to be 28,000 motorcycle thefts this year. 28,000. That is really heartbreaking to think that your pride and joy is at that much risk. Now I'm actually often emailed or I'm often put in the comments, what do I do about my bike security? What do I do to try and keep it safe? Now, the thing about thieves is, and it's sort of the hardest thing in the world to sort of turn around and predict exactly what they're going to do. But I look at it a little bit like this. With thieves, they're lazy. They don't want to spend ages trying to get hold of your bike. But the ones that really want hold of your bike, if they really, really want it, they're going to get it. So what you can do is make it as difficult as possible, but most thieves are really, really lazy. So if you make it difficult, they don't want to steal your bike. Now, for an example, obviously my motorcycle is locked inside a garage. Many years ago, I had my garage door smashed open. I had a beautiful R6 and they wheeled it away. And the worst bit of it was I'd only just got it and I'd taken it out the front of my house to clean it once. Just once, and somebody must have seen it, clocked it, and then must have come back almost steal into order because it hadn't come out that whole time. So they came along, smashed the garage door down, got the bike, wheeled it away, put it in the back of a van, and it was gone. And when I said to the police, like, oh, my bike's been stolen, my garage door's been smashed open, all I got given was a police crime reference number because they literally said there's nothing that they can do. This is obviously many years ago now. So I kind of have to look at it like this. I have to make it as difficult as possible. Now, the most common question I get asked is, what do I do when my bike's parked outside? And lots of people say, oh, I live in flats and my bike lives outside. What security would I do? What would I recommend? Now, there is loads of different security devices out there currently on the market. But I try to stick to sort of these three things when my bike's out on the street or about. So if I had to park this outside the front of my house now, these are the three things that I would do. The first thing, I would buy the most thickest and expensive chain that I can afford. There's ones out there that are like grinder proof, diamond knife proof, they're drill proof to a really big level. Now it's all about cost because things cost lots of money and you can buy cheap chains that are really thin and rubbish, and you can buy really expensive chains that are super thick, and you can get these ones, like I said, with all these different grades. It's about how much money that you've got. So my advice would definitely be buy the most expensive chain that you can afford because this is your main security device. I would then chain my bike to an object that can't move, for instance a lamppost or a solid metal fence, something that is unable to be moved easily. I chain my bike to that. So you need a chain with a decent enough length for where you live to what you can attach to, because what you're doing is you're anchoring it then. So they can't just wheel the bike away because it's anchored to something. They've got to cut through that chain. The second thing I would do is I'd put a disc lock on the front. The reason why disc locks can be cut off quite easily, that it can happen, but it's the second thing that they have to do. So they can't just wheel the bike off. They've got to get through a chain that's tied to something, that's grounded, that can't be moved. They've got to cut the disc off the front. It's a lot of effort, a lot of noise, and a lot of time. Thieves are lazy. They want to grab it and they want to go. And then the third thing, the thing that sounds daft, but it really does work. Put a cover over your bike, a decent cover. One, it will protect your bike, but mostly it's less visual to the actual thief itself. Then they've got to remove a cover they can't be bothered to do. They've got to remove a rear chain they can't be bothered to do. And they've got to cut a disc that they can't be bothered to do. And they'll look at another bike with only one security device on and they'll cut that chain, or with none and they'll wheel that away. That's how I look at it. That's my personal opinion. That's the best way you can protect your bike if you live in flats or you have to leave it outside your work. And then you've basically got three different security devices. Yes, the cover's not really a security device, but it's not visual. They don't know what's underneath it. They can't be bothered to lift up and cover and have a look. Now there's Lots of real cheap security devices. Now, one of them, for example, is something that goes onto your front brake, and what it does is it clamps your brake so your front brake's permanently on. Honestly, when I say they're a complete waste of money, all the thief is going to do is they're literally going to cut through your actual front brake lever. They're going to cut through and they're just going to take the bike away. Lots of people are buying them, sticking them on, just that, putting it on the bike, going, well, it's got some kind of security, they can't wheel it off, the brakes are on. They will literally just cut that off and wheel the bike away, because a front brake lever is, what, 20 quid? It's not a lot of money. So it's not a device I would personally buy, as well as you've got your brakes under pressure the entire time, that I also don't like personally. I know you'd be set with a handbrake on a car, etc., but you've got your front brake permanently under pressure the entire time. So that's not a device that I would personally use. The disc lock, the chain on the back, that is it for me. That is the most security that I put on my bikes if I was out and about. Now I want to talk about inside a garage, because many of us have a garage and many of us put our bikes away, and I wheeled my bike in that R6 that time. I put it on the side stand, closed my garage door, I went off to bed, I woke up, the bike was gone. So this is a similar thing. Now you can buy these devices, exactly what I've got on the bike now, what's called a ground anchor, that drills quite deep into your garage floor, and it's your anchor point. I bought the most expensive chain that I can afford, and I have that around my rear wheel. I have a disc lock on the front of the bike, exact same as if it was outside. I don't put a cover on it because it's obviously inside a garage, it's not a visual place. The extra thing I do now, I use a thing called a door defender, because what they do is they come and they prise the actual garage and they rip it up. So this garage door defender means that they can't rip the actual garage door up to get to the bike. It's another level. So they've got to go through that. They've got to go through the rear chain. They've got to go through the disc lock to get my bike out. And then the best thing in the world that you can do is, if you've got a vehicle that you don't use very often, a second car, a family car, something that sits on your drive most of the time, make sure when you park your car or when you're not here, make sure it's against the garage door. Or this is another key thing, if you're on a long driveway, I park my vehicles side by side. So I've got my van here, so they couldn't get the bike past the van anyway, so they have to physically move my van. As well as I've got, when I come home at night, I park my car the opposite angle, so there's no walk round for them to get the bike out. So that's a way of doing it, crossing both cars or backing up your vehicle against your garage door, because they've got to move a vehicle, they've got to get through a door defender, they've got to get through chain, they've got to get through a disc lock. They are lazy. In theory, they're not going to bother doing it. Like I said, if it's stealing to order, high end, good luck, because they're going to get it. But you're making it as difficult as possible. But most thieves, most of them are lazy. And that's exactly what I do inside my garage. Now, if I'm out and about, what I try to do as well, if I'm going to say go to a pub or to a country park, I park my bike somewhere where it's extremely visual. So if there's a cafe, I will park my bike literally direct line of sight for all the people sat in there for my bike, because thieves don't like to get seen stealing. So if they're doing that, park your bike there. Again, put a chain on the back wheel, put a disc lock on the front. But if you can see it, happy days. It's another thing to think about. It's a horrible subject, isn't it? Bikes being stolen, absolutely horrible subject. But all you can do is do your best. And financially, these security devices are quite expensive. Like, the chain can be like a couple of £100. The disc lock can be a couple of £100. There is cheaper alternatives. You can get a chain for like 20-30 quid, and you can get a disc lock for like probably a £5. And at least, if that's all you can afford and you put that on, at least you've got something to slow them down. Now, the covers are exactly the same. I always buy a bigger cover than what my bike needs to make sure it goes right down. And one of the covers that I also buy, the chain that I use to anchor the bike down, that can go through the actual cover as well. You can't just lift the cover off and throw it away. It's all attached to it. That's another thing that I do. It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult, but that's pretty much what I'd do if you were after security advice on your bike. I think it's the best thing. The best advice I've got to offer you. Hopefully this has really helped, because I get so many emails asking me what I do and how I look after my bikes and how I stop them from being stolen, and that is exactly how I do it. Park them somewhere visually. If I'm going to a cafe, I can see it, or lots of people can see it. chain it up, anchor bolt it inside the garage, door defender, the lot, and obviously if I'm out parking the bike overnight at a hotel or something like that, chain it to something that can't be moved, dislock it on the front, put a cover over it so it's not visual. That's the way to do it. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed listening to this podcast. Let's move on to some of the Helmet Head news now. Right now on the main channel, there's been a massive announcement about the Helmet Head Festival in 2023. Obviously this year, September, we're only, a month and a half away-ish to that date. Come and join me at the Helmet Festival. It's going to be absolutely awesome. It's on the 30th, it's on a Saturday of September. We are going to do a afternoon ride out. So everyone's there will get basically given a postcode to where we're aiming to get to. It's going to be a nice place. We're going to sit down. We're going to be able to get a coffee and a drink if we're there. It's about an hour-ish away from the actual Pearlie's Barn where the event is being held. Then we're going to ride back. There's going to be some games, some entertainment going on, but there's also going to be a bar there. They all sell pizza there, and there's going to be some bands on at night. We're all going to have a great laugh and a right giggle. This is the first Helmet Head Festival, and the whole plan of the festival is every single year I want to get it to grow more and more and more. It's very much aimed for what I call 11 out of 10 people like myself, people that enjoy life, want to have a good time, have a giggle, no stress, no pressure, and just chill out. Basically, chill out, have a laugh with lots of other like-minded people. It should be brilliant. The bands, the music that play in is going to be next level. Obviously, I've met a guy called Horse that's one of the events organisers for Pearlie's Barn. I've watched him play. He literally has the whole room getting engaged in the way that he does it. He is just an unbelievable performer. I can't wait to go back and see him perform again. Plus the rest of the team there are so awesome. They're going to put so much effort into making this, as good and as big as we possibly can. The one thing about Pearlie's Barn is they did the entire barn up. They did the whole lot, and they've had to apply for planning permission. We've been waiting and waiting for the planning permission to go through. It's looking massively positive, but it's taken such a long time. And that's the reason why we've not announced the actual festival before this, because they don't want to cause any issues to the planning permission. It's got to the point now where they're putting in a temporary licence, so we're going to have use of the fields to be able to have all the event and everything going on there. If their planning permission comes in time, we can move it into the barn and make it bigger. But the most important thing of it is we're going to start the first ever Helmet Head Festival, the first ever one. And for me in this channel, and obviously the main channel, that is going to be a history move for me. It's going to be something where we have the first ever one in 2023. And every year I get to go back. This is now the second, the third, the fourth, and it's getting bigger, better and better. I'm so excited. Anyway, I'm absolutely exhausted, believe it or not, because I've been working my socks off and I'm just about to go out, and literally at the time of filming this, I'm 3 days away from going out and filming the next leg of the World Adventure on the Honda Monkey bike. And like I said, I am knackered. I need to go to bed now. I need to get up. I need to go to work. I'm working right up to just before I go. Then I need to fly out to Far Road, pick up my bike and take the monkey bike on the next leg of this crazy adventure. I can't wait. I generally can't wait. So I will see you next week on the Helmet Head podcast. Who knows what it's going to bring. Hopefully we'll get some new bikes being released. Hopefully I can bring you some really breaking news on some cool stuff. And then this is the Helmet Head podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.